Hello language lovers. A quick announcement in Spanish. Hola amantes de los idiomas. Este video será en inglés. Por favor, no olviden activar los subtítulos si no dominan esta lengua. Y recuerden que aquí he hecho un video donde explico cómo usarlos. And now, let's begin. What is my opinion about language certifications? I usually make the remark if the certification shows really the level I have or not. Either because I mentioned that it could be higher or lower than the level, because in my experience, after taking so many certifications, not including the most recent for each language, but all the ones that it took over the years that I didn't pass, or that they were for lower levels before reaching the current ones, left me with the opinion that every institution in charge of each certification have very different ideas and methods of how to assess each level, and possibly even what each level means. For oral skills, for example, the English C2 certification may focus on simple tasks like describing pictures or express an opinion about a random quote. The French C2 certification, on the contrary, asks you to prepare a lecture about a topic that you might not even know about, give you half an hour of preparation with some audio that you can't hear beyond 2 times, without headphones, and ambient noise is quite distracting and sound quality is also different, and without access to resources to know about the topic, and expect to deliver as if you were an expert on the matter. The Catalan C2 certification may ask you to express, again, your opinion about a topic, assume a role like being in charge of a public policy proposal, and try to convince the evaluator of your idea. The Italian C1 certification is very similar to the C2 Catalan task, but we're talking about a supposed lower level. The German C1 certification, like the English C2 certification, may focus on simple tasks like describing pictures, express an opinion, and assume a role as well. But for something rather simple, like making an appointment with your dentist, or asking for information about a local plumber services. The Esperanto C1 certification also asks you for picture descriptions and convincing the evaluator of your opinion and proposals. In summary, at least for the higher levels of language certifications, although this issue might happen in all the levels, either making an appointment, convincing someone else, expressing an opinion, talking like if you were an expert when actually you are not, and describing pictures, all are measured like if they were of the same difficulty, which aren't. Some are rather easy for the level in particular, whereas others are rather more difficult for that level. The impression that you can get of this, besides disagreement on how to assess, is that essentially for doing one thing in one language, you will be granted a particular level, but doing exactly the same thing on another language, you will be granted an even higher or lower level. In general, I think that each institution has a cultural background of their own educational system, and they may punish or praise a particular deliverance, like grammar mastery and eloquence, or a functional and pragmatical communication skill, and their own criteria of what a good note is. The notes and grades are very different. The English certification may ask you to be over 85% of success to be granted, whereas the French may grant you the level for having over the 50%. The German certification asks for minimal success for each skill, around 50%, but if you manage to pass all the skills with that minimal 50%, you won't be granted the certification, which requires around 60% for the total average for success, which can be very frustrating. However, you can keep the successful notes and try again in the next year. Some Italian certifications also keep the successful notes for another try. Then there is always the incertitude if the evaluators do all of this on purpose in order to force the failure rate and make you to pay for another certification. After all, the certifications also function like a business model, but that's up to you to believe. Also, some certifications have an expiration date and others are valid for life. While it is true that keeping the same language level all over the years is not possible if someone doesn't practice them, keeping a continuous expiration date also forces people to coming back to certify themselves, reinforcing this idea of a business model. Certifications are also taxing, both economically and mentally. The exam sessions are tiresome, usually requiring a full day or 2 half days to complete. This means that you might not be in optimal condition after many hours of continuous evaluation, and yet deliver your best for that last task of the day. Logistics are also a problem. Sound quality for the audio task may vary, or doing another task alone or with 3 persons when it was designed for only 2. Or having to do a task that requires to be connected on internet and suddenly happening a connection problem, and so on. All of that have undoubtedly an impact on your performance and most importantly your note. And all of them are beyond your control and they have absolutely nothing to do with your language skills. Another thing to take into account are language skills that are independent of fluency, notably the convincing tasks. Persuasion is something that you might be good at it or not, even in your own native language. No one is saying on the street that you don't speak well, or know a language because you didn't sound convincing on a subject. I completely disagree when tasks are unnecessarily complex that not even native speakers could deliver right if given the chance. In the next video of this series, following these thoughts, I will talk about what a language level means and what a native speaker means to me. Thank you for staying here. Don't forget to like this video, share it, leave me your comments, and subscribe if you haven't done it already. See you in the next video with another language.